Hi, hello, everybody. Happy solar eclipse in Aries. When we have an eclipse, you know what time it is. It's Celeste time, okay? So we're about to be joined with our resident eclipse expert, the very gifted astrologer, Celeste Brooks. Bonjour, for Celeste to be joining us. So 3, 2, 1. Celeste. Allora. Hi, baby. How are you?
I am so good, Colin.
That's
So good to see you, my
uh,
love. You are
uh,
looking good
uh,
as always.
oh, stop it, Taurus Queen. You know how to butter me up, baby. Flattery. Okay. Plus, the Taurus wouldn't say it unless she really
Oh,
believed it. So thank you, honey.
absolutely. We
Oh,
could.
okay.
There's
I
other things
can't.
I could say if you weren't if you didn't have your game tight today.
That's
I
what I'm
could just
talking about.
talk about your smarts.
Okay, right. And we're not going to do that because Aries. No, red lip, you look gorgeous. Love the lip, love the haircut. Looking wonderful, looking wonderful.
Thank
Good to see
you.
you. How's the solar eclipse in Aries affecting you? Because I know you're an Aries moon. So what are you feeling from today?
Mm. I am feeling good. And I think
Yay.
the biggest thing about this eclipse, because it coincides with Neptune entering Aries tomorrow and then Mercury retrograde, I think for all of us, we get a new start
Mm.
and it's like the scales falling from our eyes. And for all of us, it may be a different story, but we also have some stories in common we can talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But what did you believe? It was just a Neptunian concept that was just part of your belief system that is
Okay.
going through the crisis and decay of 29 Pisces, which is the last degree of that sign where Neptune's at home. And Georgia Stathis calls it the toxic waste dump. I like to call it non-potable water, or you can no longer, the Kool-Aid you've been drinking, it's like, I don't like this flavor anymore. It's like, oh, it's almost making me
Mm.
sick. I got to throw it
Mm.
away. And I need
Mm.
to go back to just water.
Yes. And that's the 29th degree of
Mm-hmm.
Pisces. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. See, I knew we were going to go into our usual, right? But I love that we went right into Neptune. So, well, actually, let me pause this for a minute. I know you need no introduction, but for the people who have the great joy of meeting you for the first time right now, would you mind just introducing yourself before we go right back into the technicalities of what we were discussing? Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Colin. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. I'm an astrologer, a coach, and an intuitive. My podcast is the Celestial Insights Podcast, where I talk, it's a weekly podcast where I give you a forecast of what's coming up. There's always a theme,
Mm,
three big things to be looking for, a
mm,
word of the day, and I break down the
mm.
transits. I do readings. I teach
Yes.
classes for Kepler College. My class starting next week is sold out. So
Congratulations,
I'm teaching. Thank
Celeste. That's
you. Thank
wonderful. Not
you.
shocked, of course, but congratulations. What's the class on?
Uh, Transits. So it's
Wonderful,
a class to
wonderful.
help, it's a 5 week class to help people understand how to use transits in order to build a forecast. So you
Mm,
learn about perfections, transits, eclipses, the
mm.
synodic cycles, all sorts of good stuff.
Wow.
But I'll teach it again in the
Great,
fall so
great,
people
great,
can,
great.
can take it with me. I'm a board member of the Organization of Professional Astrology, OPA. I recommend everyone join. It's an
Mm,
amazing organization. And actually, I'm teaching a 3-day course on predictive astrology. So we'll learn
wonderful.
about transits and all that kind of stuff transits, progressions, solar arcs, consultation charts. That's going to be in the fall, in October, in Utah for OPA. It's going to be a lot of fun. We went to
Oh, it's in
Utah last,
person.
Park
It's
City,
not
Utah.
virtual. It's in
No, it's in
person.
person.
Oh, please, everybody gather in person. Oh my gosh. Yes, yeah. I love it. Okay, so and isn't that around the next eclipse season or is the last
Yeah,
one like
and
September
the eclipse
22nd?
season. Eclipse season is in September, and we're
Right.
going October 15th
Oh,
through 19th.
okay, okay.
So we
So
will have seen what the story from September. So it's going to be a
got it.
perfect time
Got
and
it.
to figure out like what's coming up in
Mhm.
2026. Yeah, which is another big year. Yes.
Yes.
So
That's the
that's
one I
me,
really one,
astrologybyceleste.com,
two,
everywhere.
three. Yes. And just such a beautiful teacher, gifted teacher, warm, competent, funny, the whole thing. I love it.
Oh,
Okay. Yes, yes,
thank
yes.
you.
Of course. That's why when people want to talk about eclipses, I'm like, there's only one who I want to have. And it's Astrology by Celeste, baby. So now, should we go into Neptune entering Aries, or do you think we should
Maybe we should
give maybe the
back it up to
back it
Aries,
up?
what
Back,
eclipses
I know how
are.
Aries of us to
You
go,
know me, Colin.
woo!
That
Right.
Aries moon is like, boom, let's just get to the heart of the matter.
And I love it. I will say publicly, it's my favorite moon sign. I don't know what they do. They just light me the fuck up. So should we go back to maybe some of the eclipse fundamentals and just
Yes.
have people understand, more of the zoom out, and then we'll zoom in a bit more. So whenever you're ready,
Yes.
honey.
Yeah, so eclipses. There are two types of eclipses. They're solar eclipses and they're lunar eclipses. And they are intensified new solar and full lunar moons. So
Hmm.
every month, the sun and the moon come together. They whisper secrets about what they want to bring into your life. The
Ooh.
sun is the conscious mind. So what you're aware of, the moon is subconscious, what you're not aware of, but what is available to you. And it's like seeding a new story. And it happens every month in a different sign,
Right.
mostly. Sometimes there are, one and two signs. And so you have the seeding, and then as the moon pulls away from the sun, it starts to, like, there's this awakening within you, and things happen in the real world where you start to see the light that was seeded. And then at the full moon, it comes to this culmination where there's some awareness on an axis.
Wow.
And the Aries axis is with
Libra.
Aries is with Libra. And so the I am and then the I partner. So you always in Aries season learn something about yourself
Hmm.
because it's the first sign. It's about the self, just the creation story. And
Hmm.
then there's some kind of revelation about, uh, at the first quarter moon with Cancer. What do you do? What do you feel is like home? Who is your tribe? How do you keep yourself safe? Those sorts of things will be a week from now,
Mm,
kind of in your side
mm,
view. There's
mm.
going to be events that happen that our security feels a little rough.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and then the full moon, how we partner. So those really important, like one-on-one relationships,
Mhm.
our best friends, our
Mm,
spouses, yeah,
mm,
that sort of thing.
mm.
Yeah. Who do we run to when the first person you think about, I'm in trouble, uh, besides your parents?
Yeah, true, true, true. Because that's 410, 410, right? Cancer, Capricorn. Yep.
That's Cancer, Capricorn. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay.
Yeah. And then a week after that, there's going to be like some psychological integration about a Capricorn topic, which is like you out there on the world, like seeking your legacy, trying to make your mark. And
Mm,
what have you learned that you want to do in order to, a new
okay.
cycle?
Oh,
Yeah.
I
And then
love the
you go
cardinal
to,
energy of it all. Sorry.
yeah, you go to
Mm,
resources. So anyway, I got
mm.
off track
No,
already.
no, no, no,
So,
no, 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 no. You're doing great. You're doing great. Go ahead.
so a solar eclipse is an intensified new
Right.
start where I love the imagery of you walk through a door and you turn around and there's a wall. So you can't go back through the other way. You've seen something that changes your view, your perspective, your life. Sometimes it's like, oh, you're single and you're at the grocery store and two people reach for the same banana. And then,
The
oh,
banana, not the banana. Any
or
other fruit
orange
but
or
the
whatever.
banana.
How
Okay,
about
right.
what's something strawberry,
Ooh,
or grapes, and you look at each other, you start up a conversation, you're in a relationship now, whether you call yourself
right.
whatever's. Uh, you can't go back. Your
Yeah.
pants are dancing.
Yes. Ooh.
You
Ooh.
got to get yourself some of that sweet stuff. So that's send you off on that journey.
I love it.
Well,
And this is why I love Aries moons, because we're always dancing on the sexual. We're like, how far can we go before we're completely inappropriate and vulgar? How far? You know?
yeah.
So anyway,
So
sorry.
that's the fun. I'm a Cancer rising, so I like the romantic stuff.
Yes,
But it could
yes.
be like you go for a job interview, and this job is going to propel you into. Think
Mm,
about when Oprah got her first job
mm,
offer at a
mm,
TV station.
mm.
It propelled her into
Yes. Yes. Another
Oprah now.
stratosphere. Hello, right. Another stratosphere. Okay. So solar eclipses, especially in the cardinal signs, right? Today we're talking about Aries. It's fair to say initiate us into just a whole new way of being. Not
They
even
do.
necessarily like doing, having, or connecting quite yet, but just a whole new way of being.
Exactly. And for some of
Mm,
them, it feels like a whisper, like you may
mm,
just learn something or get some new perspective. But sometimes they're life changing, life altering. And we know the ones that are more likely to be life altering because they're touching our personal planets or our angles, especially within a degree on either side. You know, something's coming into your life that's meaningful, whether you realize it on the day, a month from then, or years
right,
from then, there's
right.
something really meaningful happening.
Oof. And now around that note, yeah, because somebody just said, but Mercury is retrograde.
Yes.
Would it be safe to say that with Mercury and Venus retrograde, yes, there could be things that happen pretty quickly, but how do you contextualize those retrogrades in relationship to a sign like Aries that
Mhm.
wants to go 150 miles an hour right the fuck away?
Yes, because the learning is coming from the past. So everybody is reviewing in your
Oh,
mind all these things you thought you knew were true because Aries is a very honest sign in
yes.
general. It's straightforward, it's blunt, it just says it like it sees it. Now, sometimes that can be considered really rude or inappropriate or tactless, but it's just the truth, nothing but the truth kind of energy.
So help
Not
us God, okay?
at the highest, at the pure Aries
Yes,
energy. This is
yes,
pure Aries energy. Now
yes,
you can
yes.
mingle it with other things
Mm,
that take some of that shine off, but this
mm,
is generally so things you just thought you
wow.
knew were true. Um,
Mm,
all sorts of things about relationships with Venus retrograde in Aries.
mm,
Well, now it's back into
Pisces.
Pisces, but all these all these things you thought were true about how you are independent, about how
Mm,
you have control over your own life and destiny. And we are seeing with, Venus retrograde that we're interconnected.
mm,
And now Venus is back into
mm.
Pisces. We are interconnected with the whole world. We drink from the same water sources, we breathe the
Yes.
same air. Something
Mm.
that happens across the world, the butterfly effect, can impact us now. There was just this huge earthquake, which is
Thailand. Yeah.
earthquakes often coincide with eclipses, but is
Mm,
there going to be a tsunami somewhere? I mean, that can, when there was that
mm,
earthquake in Japan
mm.
where it like did something to the nuclear reactor and
Yes. Yes.
it poisoned like the waters around Japan that impacted all these other countries around there, maybe
Mm.
even us here. And then there was a tsunami that just it was only about a few people, but if it's you or your loved one, got washed away to sea from the West Coast. Like somebody in Oregon was walking on a bluff and a wave came that was an artifact of that earthquake and swept them off into the sea. It happened to a couple
Just
people
re
on the
just recently,
this
or is this the
was like 10, 12
oh,
years ago.
God bless though. Seriously.
There
Oof.
was a big
Oof.
earthquake in
Oh,
Japan,
okay. Okay.
and it was a
And
nuclear power plant was impacted. Do you
you
remember
know,
that?
I vaguely, yeah, because yeah, 12 years ago, Jupiter, Gemini Cancer, I was 23, 24, a bit of a butthead. Not that every 23, 24-year-old here is a butthead, but
Oh yeah.
quite a,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
no worries. That's
no,
right. I forget you're so much younger than me.
not that much younger, honey. Okay. Well, and you know what? I'm thinking too, I just got back from an artist residency at the Kripalu Center up in Stockbridge,
Yeah, yeah.
Massachusetts. And one of the most like standout moments for me, Celeste, was
Uh-huh.
the fact that concurrently in the school, there was a cohort there of frontline workers, organizers, and artists from the Appalachian region in North Carolina that got so affected by Hurricane Helene. And it was,
Oh.
yeah, which happened during the solar eclipse in Libra. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, post lunar eclipse in Virgo and then the solar eclipse in Libra.
Mm-hmm.
And it was honestly, I don't say this casually,
Yeah.
but I think I experienced some of the best of humanity this week
Mm.
because these artists and activists gathered and gave us a concert. And they
Ah.
they lost everything, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And what they decided to do was they saw our cohort and they were like, we'd really love to gift you this musical celebration. And we
Mm-hmm.
sang songs of belonging and loss and grief and love and peace. And it was maybe one of the most profoundly moving experiences of my entire life. I'm still buzzing with just that energy of how people can give, having just lost everything, and bring the arts and life force into a room.
Well, that was last year. September
Right.
17th was the lunar
In
eclipse in
Pisces.
Pisces, conjunct Neptune
Oh,
in Pisces.
yeah.
And it started with Hurricane Helene, then we had the solar eclipse, and then we had Hurricane Milton.
Yeah. Oh, right. It was back to back. It was
Back
back
to
to back.
back
Oh,
hurricanes that took out people from multiple, I think it was like 6 states were impacted,
yes.
and
And
people
then,
lost everything. Yeah. And even North Carolina, that whole
yeah.
Asheville area, that
Yeah.
artist area.
That's where they're from.
Hmm.
That's where they're
Hmm.
from. And so, and what was really fascinating, I didn't even really think about this, but I wonder how eclipsy this is. I'm sure you can translate it, is what they all couldn't necessarily wrap their heads around is how much more difficult it was that there was no one to blame. Because with
Hmm.
disasters and some catastrophe, we're often finding who's accountable, who can we, bring to task? But it was just truly a geo-natural disaster. So just confronted with what happens when I'm out of control. Yeah, like just thinking about that, right? That there's nobody to blame. And who
Hmm.
are you in those kind of disasters? Do you have any maybe
Yeah.
initial responses to that? I know I'm throwing this on
I
you for
think
the
that's
first
so
time.
beautiful. That's the Pisces, the
Mm,
last sign of the
mm,
zodiac. So after you've started at Aries, where you think you're independent, everything you can do it all by
right.
yourself.
The
Once you
point.
get to Pisces and you've lost everything that is of the material, and all you have is the emotional,
Mm,
and you realize we're all in this together because like you things have been washed away, you're in a
literally.
disaster, you
Literally.
have to open your mouth at times and speak to a stranger and just
Yeah.
sometimes ask them, can you help me? Or you're in the middle of struggling to do something and a stranger comes over and
Yeah.
helps you, and
Yes.
you like realize how how and especially if it's a stranger that you had in your mind stigmatized because of their race or their political beliefs or their
That's right.
whatever
That's right.
gender, and they just help you selflessly. It like, oh my god, it brings you to this new understanding of humanity.
Completely. Completely. And that's kind of where I'm still at. Like I don't have anything other than just I was so moved by these experiences and I'm like, how do I just remember, retain, and live into the love that was in that room and the connection
Mm-hmm.
across, like you said, culture, race, gender, physical ability,
Mm-hmm.
sexual orientation,
Mm-hmm.
everything there. It was God was in that room, 100%.
Yes. You found
100%.
God.
I
Yes.
absolutely did.
Mhm.
And it was just, we were all so moved. And I was just thinking about that as an eclipse story. I don't know why, but that's in my
That's
force
so
field right now.
Neptune at the 29th degree of
Oh,
Pisces.
true, true,
Like,
true,
well,
true,
that
true.
was Neptune was back then. I think it was like 26 or
Okay,
something. So it was
right.
like the full energy of what on the high road Neptune can be. Just this beautiful
Oh,
higher octave of Venus of love,
yes, yes,
compassion, caring,
yes.
beauty at like music. What's more
Oh,
beautiful than music, or smelling something wonderful, or
I know.
seeing something beautiful, or yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was profound. Thank you for holding that. And now I'm curious, how would you then maybe think about, all right, so it's Aries. These planets are retrograde, right? So we're remembering and retaining lessons from the past, right? What I just
Mhm.
said, nobody have probably heard that for the first time. It's just stuff we have to remember, right? So, there we go. And
Yeah.
then Neptune at the 29th degree, Aries energy is coming. How would you contextualize all of these
hmm
planetary players
hmm Okay. Um, let's see. I want to read what I said at
in
that
your presentation?
in my presentation. So Colin was at my presentation last summer in England, where it was called Fire in the
That's
Sky
right.
for the Astrological Association. They had a conference in, what was the name of the city we were in?
It's gonna come to
I
me. Hold on.
can't.
In a minute. Hold on. Keep going. It'll come to me.
Okay.
I swear.
No, no worries. I can't remember it, so how can I
Right.
expect you to?
Hold on. Yeah,
But
I'm gonna
I
look this up.
said that I talked. The talk was about Venus and Mercury retrograde in Aries because it just grabbed me so much. And it was the dual Venus and Mercury retrogrades in Aries and Pisces invite us to reevaluate our thought processes, values, and belief systems as individuals and members of the global community in preparation
Mhm.
for the massive upcoming shifts of Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries, and Uranus in Gemini, all yang signs. So this is what this time is for us. It's been so hard and uncomfortable, but and with the Mars retrograde too, but
Yeah.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
fire in the sky that we saw, that was the event, was the the attack on the Houthis and
Mm.
the reporter releasing the story about it. I think
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
fire in the sky that I was getting intuitively.
Mm.
Yeah.
At
And
like
now we
0 or 1 degree, right? Wasn't Mercury retrograde at like 0 or 1 degree Aries? It was like, right? Or am I thinking
nine.
Venus?
So the date
Okay.
of, okay, so this is really important. Let me take a step back. So
Yeah.
when eclipses happen, these are happen twice a year. We have eclipse season where we have the solar eclipses, which initiate new starts, and these are the main events. And what makes it eclipse is when the sun and the moon are within a certain amount of degrees to the lunar nodes, and the lunar nodes speak to what the collective is working on at that
Oh.
time. Yes. And so
Okay.
right now, the collective is working on the South Node is in Virgo, calling for accountability and digging up the truth. And the North Node is in Pisces. We're
Mm.
starting to see all the pixie dust of the lies, the deception, the manipulation, the propaganda on everything, whether
Mm.
it's in the health sphere or the exercise
Yeah.
or the political or the whatever. These are the things we're working on for the next until next July, I believe the nodes switch in July.
July
So
2026.
yeah,
Okay.
and the solar eclipses are in the dark, lunar eclipses full illumination. And so when the lunar eclipse happens first,
Mm.
there's some type of event that seeds a new story. When solar eclipse happens first, something surprises us, and then at the lunar eclipse, we have to something becomes very clear that what needs to happen next.
Yeah.
So this time around, we had the lunar eclipse first. It was in the sign of Virgo. and it was a south node lunar eclipse, suggesting something was going to be dug up. The south node is a drain or a cosmic vacuum cleaner, or it pulls things up in the sign of Virgo, which rules health, like land.
Yeah.
Uh, um,
It's an earth
it
sign.
rules government workers,
Mm.
accountability. And the thing that about that lunar eclipse was that Mercury was stationing to go retrograde at 9 degrees of Aries at the same time. So we knew Mercury retrograde and the eclipse were going to be very important together. How did
Yeah.
we see this eclipse? We saw massive tornadoes,
Yes.
storms, like 100 million people were under life-threatening conditions in the United States due to storms at the lunar eclipse, because Mercury stationing suggested there would be an intensity of winds and stuff like that. So that was one of the events of the lunar eclipse.
In Virgo.
Mercury in Virgo, but Mercury was in Aries. There was an attack. The United States attacked ISIS and the Houthi rebels in
Mm.
Yemen on that
Mm.
day. Well, the 15th, the day after.
Mm.
The Ides of
Mm.
March. I've been talking about the Ides of March.
Julius
And like
Caesar,
history is
he
just
knew.
like
He
it,
knew.
history is collapsing on itself. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh, oh,
that
oh,
all these
oh.
cycles are
For
coming back into our
real.
conscious attention we've seen
For real.
before.
For real.
Like Caesar, the Ides of March was Caesar being executed, and he says, "Et tu, Brute." Well, so 10 days later, what did we find out? This story is so important. Jeffrey
Mm.
Goldberg of The Atlantic was accidentally added by text on March 11th of this year to a Signal text chat. Signal,
Mm-hmm.
an app that's
Mm-hmm.
encrypted, unsecure, not part of the US processes and systems, because it's so important that you keep
Yeah.
records. Records not only help you stay accountable, but records are there so when something happens, you can go back and read
Mm-hmm.
what happened and discuss how these things happen, or
Totally.
cover your tracks with lies because you know what you did. Well, what they did in this is it was set to delete in 1 week. Now, you've got the top heads of all of these defense secretary, national intelligence, all these kind of people, typically typing in this little chat like you do with your family, throwing up
Right.
emojis and doing all this stuff about planning this attack. And here is this Mercury stationing to go retrograde, looking like it stopped in the sky, reporter sitting there reading all this stuff, watching it, and then he's thinking it's BS. But then 2 hours after it's announced that we are attacking the Houthis, it happens. Now, a lot of the talk has been about what happened, about that piece, but one of the things underneath the surface is that we got to see behind the orange curtain. We got to
Again
see
and
the
again and
sausage
again.
being made. We
Yeah.
got to see what their concerns were. We got to hear Venus retrograde, that the people in this administration think Europe is freeloaders and that it's not really American stuff that's going through this region. Why are we doing this attack? We're doing it for the Europeans. So to secure their resources. So we're putting our soldiers in harm's way
Mm.
to protect other people's financial interests, not American soil. It's essentially what the vice president was letting us know, that he had concerns. He wanted to wait a month. He
Mm.
said we should wait a month. Intuitively understanding maybe that Mercury was
Mm.
retrograde, that maybe we're rushing into this. Maybe this is not the right time to do this, because a retrograde suggests what you're doing, something about it could come to light at a later point. Because what
Oh.
retrogrades do is, like, there's tape down. And what
Mm.
retrogrades do is they peel back the tape so that we can see underneath. And what we saw underneath was this planning that, one, put Americans at risk, because what if a different person had read this stuff
Yeah.
and announced something, and then the Houthis have rearranged stuff or took out American forces or something like that. The second thing it did was it exposed to Americans some of the violence that we're taking. They hit one of these people as he was going into his apartment building where to see his girlfriend. So a residential building was destroyed. I think is one of the biggest parts of this story.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you killed a soldier on the battlefield.
Right.
You took out civilians to get this target, and it's not okay
No.
with most people.
No.
And what about the rules of engagement in
Right.
war? I don't think
Right.
that's okay to
No.
take out a civilian building, but
No.
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
So
no, I would like to believe that it isn't, but if we look at what
I
Israel is
think there's
doing in
something very
Gaza, if we
wrong
look at
with
what
that.
America has been doing throughout, I mean, I can't remember a time where America has not been in a war. War of 1812, the War of 18 this, then we had the Civil War, World War One, World War Two, then it was Vietnam, then it was the Cold War. We have such war fever in this country because it's good for the economy, and it is just it's indefensible.
Our south node, not our south node, excuse me, our IC, the most private part in your chart, that personal midnight for the United States chart is in Aries. We have a Libra midheaven. We like to project to the world that we're
We're so
fair, we're balanced,
diplomatic.
we're
Yeah, okay.
diplomatic.
Right.
We are out for one-on-one solutions to win. We're here to partner
Always.
and win together. But at our root, it's all about number one,
Mm.
how does this help us? And war is something that's helped us over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow. Wow.
Neptune and our IC is at 1 Aries. So Neptune being at 29 degrees of Pisces within 2 degrees of our IC, the fog, the mist, when a planet comes to a point, it merges the energy,
Yeah.
and we're seeing the reality, the Neptune, the fog. We're seeing through the fog about the fog of war, about
Yeah.
what's really going on, what's really driving these decisions that our government is making and putting our soldiers at risk, using our money
My
and our
God.
funds to do in order to achieve whatever goal for whatever reason. And we got to see something we were never supposed to see and learn something we were never supposed to learn. And
Mm.
that's the beauty of what retrogrades do. They
Yes,
pull
that's
back. And
true.
that's Virgo. Virgo gets so much shit for being boring or perfectionistic or whatever. But what does Virgo do at its core? Accountability. Virgo counts.
Really? Oh, okay. Okay. I love this. I've just, yeah. Do you want to say any more about this? Because this is
I
great. We're
could
getting a lot.
go on for
Yeah.
3 days, so you better
Ah,
stop me.
Source son. Once I start, baby, I ain't stopping. All right. So there we go. I'm a fixed sign. So here we go. Everybody, hear ye, hear ye. No, I love it. I appreciate that about Virgo. Yeah. See. Huh, because I have noticed I don't want to say the compliments, but the affirmations that tend to mean the most to me, right? It's got to come from somebody who's got a little bit of Scorpio and a little bit of Virgo. Yeah,
Yes.
it's just because you know it's hard earned. You know it is hard earned when a Virgo or a Scorpio is going, yep, you passed.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Because they're
Because
just,
a Virgo is going to look at every single
oh,
detail.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Well,
And get to the core of it.
is
Yeah.
should we discuss the fact that this is the last South Node eclipse we're going to have in Aries for quite a couple of years,
Mhm.
and then we're going to be kind of projected into that Virgo Pisces axis? How would you tell that story on both a collective and an individual way, right? Like this is the last eclipse in the first sign.
Yeah.
Vroom.
Oh, I
Go
want to
ahead.
say one more thing about
Yeah.
that before
Yeah.
we go, about how they go together. So we had this event where where there was this attack. It was revealed to the whole world what was going on underneath the scenes. The administration
Of
lied,
course.
lied, 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 lied. So then the reporter put the battle plans. But my hope, and maybe this is just me having Venus and Mars and Gemini and wanting to be like that part of my psyche tickled and entertained. I am hoping, Colin, with all my heart,
Yeah.
that the reporter kept stuff back that he did not let us know about. It is his ace in the back pocket.
Oh.
He's the magician, the magician tarot card, Mercury archetype. All these people talking in this chat are the fools because South Node in Virgo, they don't have any notes. It's like a judge made an order that they have to keep all of the text chat stuff. It's disappeared. It's gone. It's signal. It was set to erase. So they have no notes. South Node in Virgo, North
Right.
Node in
Yes.
Pisces.
Yes.
They don't remember what they talked about. The
Because no
sun was
one's
in
accounting.
Pisces.
Virgo's not
They weren't
Virgo's not
keeping
in
themselves
signal.
accountable.
Yeah.
And like this, they went on tangents. Who knows what was said? But one thing that was said was that J.D. Vance said he wasn't sure that the president really knew the implications of what he was doing. That's the et tu, Brute. He was questioning the head, the head guy who's a complete narcissist about his actions. So that's part of it. But I hope there's more shit talking the president in there. That's coming out later. That's coming out, boom, at just the right time. So that's my fingers are crossed as we're in the move to Armageddon.
I know. Celeste wants her
last...
Gemini pickle tickled, is what you want. Okay, you want the gossip.
So
you want the drama. Okay,
yeah.
you want the Gemini pickle tickled.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then last night or this week, there was a event in Indiana, which is a deep red state. It was a Republican town hall. The people were demanding Pete Hegseth, who's the head of the military, the Department of Defense, be fired, be held accountable for this thing. And they want people to be held accountable. The president's saying no one's being held accountable. So that's yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, the United States of America.
Yeah.
I have no words. I have no words.
That. So the question was about okay, so we've had 3 solar eclipses in Aries. Right. First at 29 degrees back in
April or March 2023.
March 2023.
Yep.
Then last year it was at 29 degrees of Aries, the crisis of decay. That was the cycle that opened before the October 7th attack.
Oh, April 19th, excuse me, but April 19th,
back
2023.
Then back last year, we had 2024, we had a solar eclipse at 19 Aries across the United States, conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer in the 4th house. And now we're back to 9 degrees of Aries. And the important thing about this cycle of 3 solar eclipses, new starts in the sign of Aries, which was conflict, it rules war, it's new, it's initiating. There was never a full moon that was a lunar eclipse in Aries 6 months later. These full moons in Aries, none of them were eclipses. So it's almost like this cycle opened, but there's no close for 9 years until there is a lunar eclipse in Aries conjunct the South Node, when we're ready to let go of all of there's like the real closure of the cycle of opening Aries energy in a solar eclipse. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, and it's not until 2032, in case anybody is wondering.
Yes.
So there we go.
2032.
Yeah, because it's only been solar eclipses, not a lunar eclipse in Aries. So things are opening, but there's not that closing. There's not, let's bring this to the finish line. How Aries is that?
That's very Aries. And what's happening around 2032? That's when Saturn and Uranus meet in a new sign. I don't remember which one. So Saturn putting some controls on Uranus chaos.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, give me something to look forward to. All right.
I look forward
Yeah.
to that. So
Yeah. Okay. So I'm
there's
just going
going
to
to,
hold my breath till 2032.
yeah.
I got nothing but time.
But what's happening now? I saw someone's like, okay, yeah, you want to be tickled, but what is happening now?
Mm,
Well, we're in a cycle where Mars, which rules the sign of Aries, is in Cancer, the sign of its fall. And a sign of a fall suggests, and it's out of bounds, meaning it's
mm,
out of the calming influence of the sun. Mars is the planet of action, drive, and assertion in fall and out of bounds. What are we seeing? We're seeing the president of the United States initiate all these tariffs, take them off, do this, do that, do this. It's like actions taken. Fall suggests that the actions taken are extreme and ineffective.
mm, mm,
So that's something we're seeing. And you're seeing it in your own life in different ways where people are doing things that are just so like they're not things that are really helpful. What's Mars doing in the sky? It's moving to trine
mm,
Saturn on April
mm.
4th.
Okay.
So Mars is the gas, Saturn's the brake. A trine removes all restrictions, and both Mars and Saturn are in a sextile with Uranus and Taurus. And what is Uranus? And sextiles are opportunities. What are opportunities that Uranus brings? Boom, things collapse to the ground very
Mm,
quickly. What does Saturn do? Saturn structures, but it's in Pisces. So the foundation isn't really solid. So what you can see, think about Jenga, think about a
mm,
house of cards.
mm, mm,
You like just you poke to push out the
mm.
Jenga
Yep.
thing,
Yep. Yep.
and you exert force, and just it doesn't even have to be that hard, but the structure, boom, it
Yep.
collapses. How have we seen this? The earthquake in Myanmar.
Yeah.
There's this sudden jolt with the earth shaking. We saw that 34-story
Ah,
apartment building collapse to the ground. That's the energy we're in for the next month, where all it will take is just an elbow to the side, elbows out, like the
yeah.
Canadians say, elbows out. I love, can't shout out to Canada. And boom, the house of cards comes collapsing to the ground. So
Yes.
yes.
Oof.
So
Oof. And what
so
would
the
that mean for people on a day to day to like agitate only when absolutely necessary? I don't love stay calm when things
yeah.
are so
Well,
distressing. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, I'm unsure.
well,
Where would we
we're
start with
seeing
that?
I'm thinking about right now, I'm thinking about what we saw in Serbia, where the people are outraged, they're out in the street. There was some
Oh
kind of
my
train
God.
accident where they're furious with the corrupt government for not doing their job, and they came out of the streets in force. What did the government do? They deployed some kind of military grade sound weapon to try to control the people. What is that going to do? Pluto's in Aquarius. Are they all going to go home and sit quietly and like, well, we learned our lesson now that we can't hear? No, I don't think so. It's the people are going to just keep rising up until they start taking the government down. They're in the streets, and where's the Hungary too. I
Mm,
saw. So
mm,
somewhere
mm.
around the world, solar eclipses are the king is dead. Somewhere around the world, some leader is going to fall, probably by the full moon.
Oh my God,
So
would
that's what's
that be
coming
nice?
over the next 2 weeks, and it's going to be like that. I like to call it control. Saturn sextile Uranus is kind of controlled
Yeah,
demolition, or
yeah,
like controlling the keeping the people calm, kind of. And then because they're exerting force to keep the Uranian things at bay.
yeah.
But then here comes Mars and Cancer, and kaboom, and it's just it falls down. Now you can
Yeah.
think in your own life, how does this happen? It happens when you're in a relationship, but you guys bicker, argue, like there's something wrong with the foundation. It's not really solid. And then someone says something out of the corner of their mouth, during Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, and the other person hears it. And the fight of the century ensues, and you walk through that door, and you can never go back into the relationship the same way. And that leads you to break up. It's whether you break up that day, 2 months from then, 10 years from then,
Right.
that was the event that destroyed
Mm,
the love you
mm,
had, kind of thing.
mm,
Does that make
mm,
sense?
mm.
How that
Yeah,
shows up?
yeah,
It,
because there is something fairly permanent about eclipse energy. I remember when Maria Di Simone, when we all flew back to America together out of
yes.
Heathrow, and Maria helped me understand that when there is a separation during an eclipse, it is more often than not a permanent split. There is, like you said, when you walk through that door becomes a wall. And I've had a few relationships end during eclipses, and it was painful, but I can see how each and every one was fundamentally necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah. And for me and my boo, we broke up during last year's. It was like a week after the eclipse. There were
Oh,
some things in our
oh,
relationship that were like causing problems, but there's and I came out and said like some things in not a very good way. It could have been handled
could have
much
been an email.
better. But
No.
well, I wrote something.
Uh-oh, uh-oh,
And we
uh-oh.
broke up for a while, for
Ooh,
7 months actually. But then
ooh,
but we made up, and things have changed so dramatically. It's been so
wow.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we weren't getting our needs met,
yeah.
and uh, there had to be this big rupture. Mercury was retrograde when we broke up, so that's
Boom.
a thing. Retrogrades could suggest it's not
There,
permanent,
there you
and
go.
for
There you
that, the
go.
love was still there, but there were some things that needed to be addressed that were deep, deep, like familial healing stuff we both had to go through separately. And then we came back together and things are much better.
Is
And
that who
it's
got you
been
that
going
love
really
bouquet
good.
back there? I see that
Huh?
cute little love bouquet behind you. What is
Yeah,
that?
that
Uh,
he
uh,
gave me flowers a
oh,
while ago,
oh.
and the love thing was in
He
there.
fucking better have. Okay. Yeah, baby. Sad son, sad son. And really quickly, then maybe we can leave it open for Q&A
Oh
depending
yeah,
on
yeah.
when
Let's
Instagram
do Q&A because I could
kicks
just
us
talk
out.
forever.
Yeah, no, I love it. I have also sort of noticed collectively two things, again, especially in the artist residency, there are so many people who come from, historically excluded, disenfranchised groups, sometimes on top of each other, and they are processing real profound sacred rage. And I kind of just want to put that out there too for people who, because of a certain identity marker or markers, if you are feeling the rage on the oppression, the surveillance, the dehumanization, the violence, really allow yourself to go there is kind of
Mm-hmm.
something that I think can be just exceptionally
Oh, I
healing.
got so mad last night
Oh, did
about
you? Tell
it,
me why.
in my name,
Oh,
snatching people off the streets and sending them to this El Salvadorian
oh,
nightmare
no,
prison.
no, no,
And I
no, no.
looking at my slides from back then, one of my things was like institution. This is about the North Node in Pisces because Pisces rules prisons. Was like institutions like hospitals and prisons reimagined. I was reimagining reforms, but we're seeing hospitals being destroyed in war zones. We're seeing
Yes.
like prisons being a profit
Oh,
making,
yeah.
sending
Oh,
like
yeah.
people because of their tattoos. Now, some of the gang members or people did really horrible things, but there was like a barber who got snatched up
Yes.
because he had an autism tattoo. I mean, I don't remember each of the people, but it's like, oh my God, and
Yeah.
students being from different countries being snatched
Mahmoud.
up off the street.
Yeah, from
Yes,
Colombia.
Mahmoud and the woman this week. I mean, it is like they always start with the so-called
Of
outsiders,
course.
but
Of course. Of
it is
course.
so enraging and
It is.
distressing.
No, it is. And I think all the more. emphasis on, okay, yes, no, in sacred containers with people who understand the rage,
Mhm.
presence it, punch the pillows, do whatever is needed, right? And then, to the best of your capability, find a sense of, mutual support and mutual care with your Pluto and Aquarius, comrades,
Yeah.
right? And then,
Mhm.
yeah, I also feel like something else that came up in that space, the microcosm for the macrocosm, is just how insidious passive aggressiveness is. I'm
Mm.
really present to, and I think there's cultural distinctions here as well, East Coast, West Coast, the whole fucking thing, whatever. But just how like sidesteppy, passive aggressive, what did you really mean by that is,
Mm.
and I just want to say for people that if they're experiencing, I don't know why there's this weird tension, to have them ask the person, did you mean for that to come across condescending? Did you mean for that to come across as passive aggressive? I had to say it 3 times last week, and they
Mm.
looked completely dumbfounded. And I'm going to say, because you can say it again, but I'm going to let you know it came across as incredibly passive aggressive. So if you want to take two, now's your chance, or fix what you just said.
Love that, Colin. And that's the kind of
That
conversations and
I'm
awakenings
always ready to
people
have.
are going to be having at the full moon in Libra. Some people
Oh,
have learned
okay.
to fight in a passive aggressive manner. So when they come up with an air against that Aries energy, they're like, "What? Who me?
Cool. Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. Always with the who me. Yes, you. Yes, you. So watch what the fuck you say. No, no, no. But I'm like, really though. Yeah, you. Anywho.
That's shadow Libra energy.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
So
I know.
if you get Colin, this, really take a step back and really think about what the person said to you, what you said, how they
Hmm?
could come to that conclusion.
Mercury, Venus,
And
retrograde. How you
this is the
doing?
and really analyze your own thoughts and speech patterns.
Oh,
That's what Mercury retrograde. You
oof.
this is your Venus and Mercury retrograde in Aries. Hmm.
I know.
And
Yeah. So
now
you
the
can clearly tell
person,
which one I'm a little bit more comfortable with.
but
Okay.
now by the end of the day, they'll be both retrograde and
Yeah.
Pisces.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Venus is already there. The person you said that to was all, well, what did I do? What did I
Yeah.
do? And then as
Yeah.
they review it and review it and review it, and the light of Aries
Mm.
shines and comes to oppose the moon, and the moon moves and opposes the sun in Aries. Maybe they'll have an awakening at the full moon about, oh, I said that because of this, that, the other. They'll put all the pieces together if they're introspective and figure out how this happened.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
if they're not
And I'm
introspective,
always.
maybe they won't.
Yeah, and I'm working on not being so reactive and jumping down people's throat.
Uh huh.
And also, like, I don't always regret it. Like,
Yeah.
I have so much to regret, but a lot of times I'm just like, no, I will uppercut you in real time and say, do you need a take two? Because I swear to God, you're not getting a take three. So you have one more chance. All right, don't fuck it up. Now, just what I think what we could do for the people that are
Oh,
here is maybe ask some questions. I would love for them to be not chart specific. So just we would like to see just how universally applied this could be. So if you have a question for Celeste or myself, please ask it here. Not in the comments in the question section per se, because I still don't even know. I'm a Leo rising. Somebody asked where is your fire at? Leo rising, baby. But in case anybody wants to ask something here, I can read it to Celeste or
yeah.
myself, and then we can take it from there. Just about the eclipse, anything that is needed. Again, try not to be too chart specific with it. So there we go. Oh, so Celeste, what are your top three? Somebody asked, can you both speak on your sign
Oh,
placements?
I am a Taurus Sun, Aries Moon, Cancer Rising.
One, two, three. And I am a Gemini Sun, Capricorn Moon, Leo rising. Okay, so air, earth, and fire, baby. All right. And you know what? I just want to throw out there, maybe while people are typing,
Yeah.
for folks to really think about the quality of aliveness that they're looking to seek. I just think that when I connect to Aries, I just connect to this to Eros, to aliveness. And what would it mean for people to, whether it is through boundaries, whether it is through differentiation, because Aries has no issue being like, baby, that's yours, that's not mine, right? Really generate as much aliveness as you can. Great question. So, can you just speak more, Celeste, about the North Node in Pisces? What is the destiny point? I think that's great.
So the lunar nodes speak to like they're where the sun and the moon cross. Um, it's just a point. It's where their paths cross from our perspective on Earth, and the moon rules the people. And so you can think about the South Node is always about something about what we've become comfortable with, and we need to like dig up some of the something about it. And the
Mm,
North Node is an amplifier, so there's an amplification of something. And I
of
call
Pisces.
Pisces is belief systems. It's our
Oh.
imagination. It's also like the pixie dust. It's the ultimate energy of like about falseness, about lying, about just spreading bullshit.
Mm,
Yeah, so there's
mm.
this amplification of BS, but it's like this. It's coming to this crisis and decay where we can't believe it anymore because we see with our eyes. Aries rules the head and the eyes.
Oh,
What's
does
really
it?
happening? Yes.
Huh. I did not know
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And what do you
It's
think is a Pisces destiny?
a Pisces destiny, um, mm, to be non-attached
Yeah.
to the
Oh,
physical
Jesus.
world, to understand how everything is temporary. Yeah,
I mean,
non-attachment. The serenity prayer is the ultimate North Node and Pisces under South Node and Virgo statement.
mm,
Understand what I can control, because Virgo can be controlling. Understand what I can't control, and the difference between the two.
mm,
So understand non-attachment. Like we need things, we need food to eat and blah 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 blah. But we get really attached to people, to things, to status, to this, to
yeah.
that, the other thing that in the long run is not really meaningful. So it's really a call with the North Node in Pisces. We will be tested because Saturn's coming to the North Node in Pisces, and Saturn's the ultimate buzzkill.
Yeah.
Bringing us crashing down to reality, Saturn's reality.
Reality
Neptune
check,
is
baby.
Neptune is the pixie dust.
Yes.
Boom. You see
Yes.
and they're coming together. You did a beautiful talk about them. For
Mm,
Opa, people can go to
mm.
Opa and look up Colin. But
Thank you, my midheaven manager. Thank you, thank you. Okay.
yeah.
Please, please, please. There were some relational questions that I thought could be
Oh yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
Somebody had basically asked, like, so then what do you do? It's interesting because it's very Aries Libra. One question was like, well, how do I not take it personally when my directness and abruptness then rubs people the wrong way? There was that question. And then the other question was, but then my attempts to connect come across as, aloof or detached and indifferent. Do you have
Mm.
anything to share about that?
Well, we have to learn how to moderate. This is Aries Libra. So Aries, you're in like I know I have to sugarcoat things
Me
sometimes because it's
too.
for the best for people I'm talking to. Not everybody, I mean, people don't want to know what's really coming with Saturn and Neptune on the IC of the United
Yikes.
States. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're in hard times.
Yeah, we are.
But there's beauty that we're learning through this. So you're direct, you're abrupt, and it rubs people the wrong way. So you learn how to modify so that you can find win-win solutions, so that you can say what's really meaningful, but do it in a way that maybe is not a slap in the face to other people. And I mean, I've learned these lessons my own self
Like six
as an
months
Aries
ago.
moon.
Yeah, right. We never graduate. We never graduate. We just keep. That's why
It's a
this
life, and
circle.
and sometimes you get triggered, and like your south node, like gets a little kick,
Yeah.
and that's very can be very humbling
Yes.
because something comes up where you thought you'd overcome about yourself, but there's still something that is what your south node is, like your talents, your default way of being, what you learned in your childhood. And but we can really sit down in some of the shadow energies
Mm,
at times, and every once in a while it gets a little
mm,
nudge, and then we learn. And for
mm.
people who have like strong Aries energy, it can be about learning the Libra, the need to say things in a way that's more humane and that's seeking connection rather than separation. Connection, air signs connect. The separation, Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars severs and separates. So
Yeah.
a Libra, if you're always trying to get approval or pleasing or have things look good on the surface or have people just get along, get along, get along, but then you get upset and you're trying to get that across, but in a way that's not direct, that feels passive yet aggressive. And then the Aries brings down the hammer, and then
Yes.
you got to learn how to, yes, you want things to be said in a civilized way, but you have to learn how to say them in a more direct way, or not get other people to, this can be something shadow Libra, it can be like getting other people to fight your battles for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to
Oh,
learn
noted.
these things.
Noted.
And it's a balance.
And for people who have that, like, because there was, and then we're going to ask a question about nodal opposition next. For people who have the challenge of, I'm not connecting to the place of like directly and clearly, people are interpreting me as, maybe too indifferent or detached. What would you say to them?
Mm. Mm. Well, air can detach. And it's like the if you take all the emotion out of things, it
Please.
seems
No.
false. It can feel to the receiver, it can feel really false. And
Mm,
so what this encourages you to do with the North Node in Pisces can give you the energy to get into the emotion.
mm,
And mm, and look, Mars in Cancer, there's some water energy there to get into the emotion. What is pushing you? Like learn, look, feel in self, like write, journal. Why am I doing this? Pull a card
mm,
from a tarot deck or an oracle
mm.
card deck. That can be how you use how you get into the water that's not easily available to you because you learn through your childhood to detach from the emotions and over intellectualize
Oh,
everything as a
shit.
form of protection.
Thank
So,
you, Earth sign, for bringing in the body. That's so, because you know what? I was going to say, and this could be not counterintuitive, but I'm so glad you brought up the somatic part, right? Get back to the
yeah.
body, get comfortable with emotionality, as much as
Hmm.
you can, and disclose
Hmm.
vulnerably. I also see, as an air sign, that many people believe they're making clear and complete requests and bids for connection, and they're actually not. They're very vague and fuzzy. And so, sometimes we really just have to speak to each other like fifth graders and say, like, do you want to be my friend? And can we get lunch sometime?
Yeah.
Like really speak to each other like we're 10, because we think we're signaling, connection and closeness, when in fact, it's not always that hard. It's not always that easy to understand, if that makes sense. So,
Absolutely, especially when you get an air person, a
uh,
Libra, talking
uh,
about all this mess, and it's just like, what are they talking about? What they're really saying is, maybe I'd really like you to hold my hand. I
oh,
need that human touch or
oh,
that human
oh,
connection.
come on,
And they may
Earth.
go around the bend with some confusing psychobabble boop that they read in some book, a psychology book, but that's what
Psycho
they really
babble poop.
want is just
Hold my
maybe, can
fucking
we be
hand.
connected without having sex or something like that, where we just hold hands and
Yeah.
talk or something
Uh,
like that.
you
Yeah.
know,
That could be the core thing that they really need is just some physical touch, which is
touch.
not highly sexual. Maybe that's it.
And I often find that, yeah, that's what the earth and water signs need, like, absolutely desperately, is like some kind of touch. Air, fire too, but like more often than
Mhm.
not, it's the water and the earth signs that are like, oh God, will you just touch me and shut up? I
Yes.
don't know, I don't know if that's true.
Yes.
But yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
And now for the last question, which I think we could, and happy early birthday, Dawn. A friend of mine's birthday is tomorrow, 51. Dawn
Ooh.
is turning. Happy New Year, Dawn. So the next question is, how do you make sense of the nodal opposition by transit, right? So,
What do you mean?
w-
I
li-
don't understand.
I don't know if this person is Aries, Libra, or Virgo, Pisces,
Oh,
but it's the nodal opposition,
okay.
right? So they are North Node Virgo, South Node Pisces, or
Uh-huh.
North Node Libra, South Node Aries. Go
Uh-huh.
ahead.
So they're always on an axis. And Virgo and Pisces, I like to think of them as the axis of well-being.
Mm,
Um, yeah, Virgo's job is to bring order to chaos. And Pisces is this dispersal of this emotional uh, energy, belief systems, all of that. So how can you bring them into balance? Because what Virgo does is it's highly organized. It takes all this information. It's ruled by Mercury, and then it separates the wheat from the chaff. What's important, what's
mm,
not important. There's this constant. Like Virgo on steroids can be anxious, where there's this constant desire to have things happen exactly how they should. The train's running on time within 1 second. If they're 10 seconds late, it's a big problem, you
big
know.
problem.
Whereas Pisces is like, oh, let's see what happens, blah, blah, blah. And like that too far can be too much.
That's
But
us, right? Right?
there's a call to surrender.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
yes.
Yeah, we have
My
opposite
South
nodes.
Node's we both have South Node in Virgo, right?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Pisces.
yeah. We're the same nodal class. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and what my experience was as a child, because my house at times felt out of control, because my father was a bit volatile, like all this analysis paralysis, trying to understand what can you do in order to keep for anything from to keep the calm, keep the over analyzing, overly trying to control things or what I say or da 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 da, rather than the surrender. And so, as an adult, now that I'm safe,
Yeah.
I don't know, da da da. How can I surrender
Mm,
that control? Kind of let things be more in
yeah.
flow. High Road Pisces is in flow with the energy, able to cruise through the highs and the lows, and figure out how to react in different circumstances differently rather than always having this feeling of I need to kind of control. Yeah.
And
So
can I just say, Celeste, this is like so astrology in action. The two
mhm,
facilitators of the artist residency that I'm
mhm.
in are a Virgo and a Pisces.
Ah,
And
so they can balance
and I
balance
could
those
totally
two.
see why each one, like all the Virgo wants us to do is end group share on time so we could go to lunch. Right? And all the Pisces wants to do is just like, I really want to presence the emergent voice of consciousness in this space right now. And it is absolutely hilarious watching the Virgo just be like, can we just get in the lines, please? Because lunch is only from 12 to 1, you know? And then the Pisces is just like, fuck time, fuck your little form, you know? So I just love it
Eat
because I'm watching.
air. The
Yeah,
Pisces
I
is like
got
eat air.
seriously.
The
I
Virgo's
know.
like, no, I need to eat a salad. And
Okay, I know because I'm having digestive issues. I know, but it is just so funny. I just sit there and laugh at them all day long because I'm just like, well, and then God created Virgo Pisces. Like I don't make the rules, but here we are,
yeah.
you know. So anyway, I love it. I love it. So
Oh,
select. Oh, go ahead, baby.
I do want to say, so it's really important now to use our intuition to try to keep ourselves like, if you get a feeling, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't go to this place, don't go. There's a high
Mm,
risk of
oh,
some kind of boom going off.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
especially
interesting.
next Friday, Saturday. It might just be about TikTok, but it might be like this whole next week. The first quarter moon is a time of action, and the first quarter moon's on April 4th. So, and it's the sun is in Aries and the moon is in Cancer, approaching Mars in Cancer. So there may be some kind of, and Mars transits come in early.
Mm.
There may be some kind of a big thing, attack or a big
Uh,
energy going.
oh,
So between now and the full moon. And then we have Mars opposite Pluto. It's very explosive energy right
no,
now.
true, 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 true,
So
true. I
that's
forgot
just
about the
something
Mars
to
photo.
be aware of. So don't want to
Copy that,
sugarcoat.
Commander. No, no, let us know. Let the
And
girlies
if you're
know.
protesting, be very careful.
Careful.
There's a huge protest next weekend.
Okay,
Be
so be
very careful.
careful.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
so,
even have something to protect yourself. Bring earplugs in case they deploy anything sound wise. Neptune and Aries could be a weapon that disperses, that we haven't seen before, that disperses something very quickly. So bring your earplugs, and if you can't, have some kind of something to protect your lungs
copy
and your
that.
eyes, goggles.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Celeste, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
blessing us with your wisdom, for sharing fire in the sky and the stories and the context. I think what people really loved from the comment section was the way that you're able to interpret, these political moments and so many other things from this perspective, and it helps both teach us, politically and metaphysically. So thank you
Mhm.
so much for that. I think you got some really great feedback around that.
Oh,
And
thank you. And sorry, I
yeah.
got so wordy at some points, but
Oh, honey,
just
listen, we're free balling. It's eclipses. I'm telling everybody, like, no plan is the plan. Leave me alone. I can't, no, no, right? So
but I
that's
think this
it.
is all about what are you learning about
Mm,
what you thought you knew was
mm,
true with
mm.
Neptune moving into Aries, and can you open your eyes, take in new perspectives, see how we're all in this together. The
Okay.
more we can bring down the walls between us, even if those walls feel like they are solid brick,
Mm,
if people are in any way open, let's not reject them out of point. And because
okay.
I think what's happening, unless you're a billionaire, you are going to be feeling some pain about us having a person who is a
You could say it.
29-degree Leo rising.
Yeah.
He's got all these big
Spoil brat.
plans and
No,
not
like,
a
where we go?
drop. He doesn't have a drop of Virgo about how to like put things in action to make things happen effectively.
Mm,
So we
mm,
are in for it. We're really in for it. We're seeing
mm.
like as we can't go back again with all these
No.
tariffs that like destroying relationships over the world. We are going to be seeing how important our interrelationships as Americans have been to the rest of the world. Remember how we learned Russia was a paper tiger? We're going to be learning some things about how America is not all that in a bag of
Oh, no.
chips that we
It's
said
living
we
on its
were, and
name at
ultra
this point.
the uber most powerful, this, that, and the other. We're gonna see beneath under the orange curtain, and it's not all pretty. Dante's Inferno comes to mind.
All right. So happy fucking Saturday to you, America. Okay.
But this too shall pass, and on the other
Yes.
side is a brighter
Yes.
future.
I do think so. I'm actually excited for the Saturn Neptune conjunction. I am.
Ah, good.
I'm feeling good about that.
I
I
think it's
can't explain
going to
it.
be good in the
Oh,
long run. I think it
God.
is. I
Yeah.
think
No,
we
me
need to
too.
have
Me too.
all of this facade come
Oh, yeah.
down because it gives us an opportunity for a new start, a more equal world where people work together in a different ways. Yeah, the madness of King Cheeto is right.
Yeah. Who could you possibly be referring to? Okay. Anyway, happy solar eclipse,
It's
everybody. We
February
appreciate.
20th, 2026 is when Saturn and Neptune meet on a
Yep.
world point. The whole world is involved.
0 degrees Aries, baby. Oh,
0
boy.
degrees
Okay.
Aries. It's like kind of like the fall of the Roman Empire kind of moment.
It's giving
Yeah.
that. It's giving empire collapse.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it is.
America's on its last season. Will it be renewed? Find out on
It'll still
February
be here next
20th.
season, but it's a
Yeah.
different season.
Okay. But
And
this
I'm
season,
hoping,
goddamn.
it might take 2, 3, or 4 seasons, but it's going to be a better program in the long run.
Okay.
That's
So one,
more
two.
equitable for more people,
Yeah.
more fair, more balanced. The Capricornian structures need to come down so
Yes.
that we can be more Aquarian.
Yes, yes. And that's why we have Pluto in this sign.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Celeste, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for the people that are here watching live. We appreciate you so much. For the people that watch on the replay, we appreciate you as well. And that's it. That's where we'll end it. And we'll go eat now. Okay?
Okay. Can you make me a collaborator? I'll share this on
Always.
my wall too.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely. Going to the grid right now.
Thank you, Colin. I
Of
love you.
course.
Thank you,
I love you
everyone, for
too.
joining and all the wonderful comments. I wish I could have read them all, but then
Yeah.
I really have gotten distracted
It's hard.
and off
No,
track.
this is not easy. This is not easy. I don't know how people do it all the time because it's a challenge. So, Celeste, happy solar eclipse in Aries. Happy solar eclipse in everybody in Aries to all of you. And I will post this to the grid right now. All right. So,
Okay.
arrivederci tutti. Ciao. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Colin.
Bye.